Hello and welcome to Tech Deals. This is Ghost Recon Breakpoint at 1440p ultra detail on a 9-year-old CPU and a nearly 5-year-old graphics card. This plays remarkably well considering how poorly it played when it launched. Ghost Recon Breakpoint was, shall we say, challenged at launch. It received mixed reviews. It was not considered to be a true Ghost Recon game. It diverged substantially from the previous Ghost Recon games. And lo and behold, they made NFTs for it. Yes, really, seriously, they made NF-frickin-Ts for this. They failed, thank goodness, and they said, okay, we're not doing that anymore. But it kind of killed a lot of interest in the game. Actually, some of the game's design and overall microtransactions probably did that too. Wildlands, which came before, was in many ways a better game, although technically this is superior. The game mechanics of the world are maybe a little more interesting, although it is a massive world with 5,000 million places to go. But it's fun to play, and I've played it a bunch. I've nearly cleared the game. I've almost done a 100% clearing of the map, but not quite. I have way too many hundreds of hours into it, which is one of the reasons why you're watching it today. It's a good excuse to play some Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Now, the i7-4790K here is a 9-year-old CPU from 2014, and we're using almost all of it. I'm actually kind of surprised how well this runs, considering that most games do not use hyperthreading very well. This could be the Vulkan engine, this could just be enough patches and updates, this could be, well, we don't have a choice, I guess we're using hyperthreading, because we're using 80+% of this CPU. Anything over 50% is into hyperthreading, and traditionally games don't do that very well. Hyperthreading is good for multitasking, it's good for frame pacing, it's good for background tasks, it's good for a variety of things, but typically not for gaming. But in this case, it runs pretty well. Our graphics card's actually being pretty heavily utilized here, and most of the games I tested, it was not. At 1440p, the RTX 2080 Ti is typically not the limitation, the i7-4790K is. But this is Breakpoint, it is ultra detail, it is a 2018 game. It came out about the same time as the RTX 2080 Ti, and it is a good example that if you want to play games at ultra detail at 1440p, the top-end graphics card is not crazy. I mentioned this in a recent Q&A. In fact, this was Ask Tech number 27, which just published a few days before I actually recorded this voiceover. And the question was, should I buy a RTX 4070 or should I buy an RX 6800 XT? The goal is new AAA games at 1440p Ultra. And I said, well, I'm going to give you two answers. The first answer is not the one you asked, which is the RTX 4090 is your new best friend. If you're in 2023 buying a new video card today that you want to last for 2+ years at 1440p Ultra, well, you just have to buy the best of the best because the mid-level cards are going to age poorly. If you need a good example of that, you're watching it here. If we swapped out the RTX 2080 Ti with an RTX 2070, which is the 4070 equivalent of 2018, how well do you all think it'd be running right here? Well, it certainly wouldn't be doing 80 frames per second, that much is for sure. In fact, it wouldn't even be doing 60. You'd probably be getting between 40 to 50 frames per second. Now, some of you may think that 40 to 50 frames per second is just fine, and I can hear the comments already, but please go to the keyboard and say it because it boosts engagement. Tech. Ultra is for screenshots, high is for gaming. Just lower the detail to high detail and it'll run just fine on an RTX 2070. You are absolutely correct. But that is not what I was asked. I was specifically asked by a viewer, which card would I buy for 1440p ultra detail gaming for AAA games? And my answer is, I wouldn't buy the 4070 or the 6800 XT, I'd buy a 4090. As expensive as it is, I know, it's $1,600, it's crazy, it's ridiculous, whatever, but look how well the 2080 Ti hangs on today. Now, the 2070 does okay as well, but the 2080 Ti does better. It has 11 gigs of VRAM versus the 8 on the 2070, and even for the next 2 years, a 2080 Ti is definitely going to be a better choice for 1440p gaming than a 2070 would. And again, we are in fact playing a 4-year-old game. We're not playing a brand new one, so Okay, I've beaten that horse to submission. Please give me 20 seconds to support the channel. We'll be right back after this sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by eWin Racing, the best source for gaming chairs and desks for those long gaming sessions. We have a playlist of our eWin chair and desk videos linked in the video description below. Save 30% off of everything using the discount code TECHDEALS. More details at the end of the video. And we're back. Thank you so much for helping me support the channel. Your support of our sponsors is what keeps us on the air. Fun fact, as I'm recording this voiceover, I am actually sitting in the black eWin chair that I used during all of our previous live streams. It's now sitting in front of our video editing PC. It's the same PC that you see me on camera on the scripted videos. So we really do use those chairs. So if you're interested in one, I really do recommend it. I wouldn't accept a sponsorship otherwise. Now back to the game. Frame rate's great, frame pacing is good, and really this is down to game optimization and their incorporation of the Vulkan API. It's not DirectX 12, in some regards it's probably better, but what's interesting about it is this game it really didn't run all that great when it first came out, and the patches, updates, and the inclusion of this API are what changed things. I remember playing this game on my i7-8700K at launch. I streamed this game on Twitch, and it ran horribly. Even with my GTX 1080 Ti, which, okay, to be sure, is not an RTX 2080, but even if I turn the detail down a bit, even if I used the Intel integrated graphics for their quick sync function with Twitch, so I'm not using any of the NVIDIA card for live streaming. Now, I was using the CPU for live streaming, but let's be honest, OBS doesn't use that much. It's the power that's taken out of your graphics card, which usually takes about 5 or 10% of the performance away if you're using the NVIDIA encoder, the NVENC encoder while you're live streaming. But I turned on the integrated graphics, and you can have OBS use QuickSync to do the video encode while the video card actually plays the game. And it was choppy. It was never great. I could get it smooth. If I wasn't streaming, wasn't encoding, nothing was open, I shut everything else down and I just played the game, it was okay on an i7-8700K at launch. But it wasn't great. And I remember that's one of the reasons why I moved from an i7-8700K to an i9-9900K. The move from 6 to 8 cores cleaned this game right up. And here we are in 2023 playing it on a 4-core 8-thread chip, and it's doing just fine. It isn't perfect. There were a couple of places where it would be, how shall I say, a little squirrely. But overall, it was remarkably good considered. Oh, watch those rotor blades. Watch the rotor blades. Oh, that looks like an expensive helicopter. Okay. So overall, it was remarkable. This is remarkably good considering how bad it was at launch. If money is a concern, let me encourage you to buy games a year after they launch, 2 years after they launch. They're discounted, they're less expensive, hopefully, knock on wood, they're patched, the bugs are fixes, they're tweaked, they're optimized, drivers are updated, and the game is fully supported. And a lot of times you can buy the Game of the Year edition for less than the original launch cost of the game with all the DLC and the other malarkey that should have been in the game to begin with. Now you'll notice here in this cutscene, the frame rate locks to 60, and it will over time drag down the average. And this is, of course, this game has a built-in benchmark. I could just show you the built-in benchmark, but you'll notice it dropped from 81 to 80. The middle white number at the top is the rolling average. The right white number is the rolling 1% low. Of course, it locks to 60 instantly once we get into a cutscene like this. And then the left number is the real-time frame rate. And in a lot of times, some games and maps or cutscenes, it'll throw the frame rate off. You'll notice it kicked right back up to 80 frames per second as soon as we got out of the cutscene. Short scenes like that in a long gameplay, I played for like 40, 45 minutes or so, aren't going to affect the outcome of the benchmark all that much. But it is worth noting. But when I show you all the footage, you don't have to rely on a chart. I'm not even putting charts in these videos because it's not about the chart. It's meant to allow you to see what the real-time performance numbers are and how it affects the game. And I really, really hope you guys enjoy these videos. Now that's enough rambling on from me. I am going to let this play for just a minute. Then we're going to cut back to the end sponsor spot, and then we'll have the closing bit. Thank you very much. eWin Racing has a wide selection of chairs to fit all shapes and sizes of gamers, ranging from petite to cuddly. They have something for every type of gamer. Not just sizes, but colors and material options as well, including red, blue, purple, pink, orange, and more, plus cloth and leather choices. We have over half a dozen chair and desk videos in a playlist down in the video description below. We also have a very special offer just for Tech Deals viewers. Save 30% off of everything using discount code TechDeals using our link in the video description. We have used eWin gaming chairs for 3 years in our office, sitting on them for up to 8-hour marathon live streams. They are very comfortable, and we are happy to work with eWin to bring you this special discount and recommend eWin for all of your gaming chair and desk needs.